The T Rex. Is it really old hat? Or is it a bit of a monster? Hello and welcome to AAR on Air. This week we're going all Jurassic, and it's nothing to do with the late Michael Crichton or a reference to my age. It's the Remington T Rex. And no, I have no idea why they called it a T Rex. Looking at the end of the built-in baffle silencer, I would have thought it should have been called the Toblerone. But let's not get lost in a world of dinosaur wordplays, and we should just park the Jurassic bit. Enough of the Michael Crichton titles. This is a budget gun from Remington, and it would be very easy to just review it as such. But when we look closer at some of the features, inclusions and construction, then maybe we should be throwing this into the next price up and see if it can hold its own. The Walkaround first then. This is 1040mm long or 41 inches and tips the scales at 3.2 kilograms or a little over 7 pounds unscoped, so it's not overly heavy. I would normally say it is all black, but it isn't. It has a hint of green going off from the subtle green line around the butt and the fancy green flashes on the side of the block. Why? Again, I have no idea, but it grows on you and I've come to quite like it. And it does match the fibre optic front sight and the dots on the rear. Yes, this does come supplied with a budget scope and still has open sights if you want to use them instead of the scope or if your batteries run out in your scope. Anyway, the rear sights are adjustable for windage and elevation, and whilst I wouldn't really use them, it's a nice option for those who would maybe want to. There is a Picatinny rail on the top to fit that included 3-9x40 scope. At this point, I would say it is adequate, as most of these non-focusable bare bones included free in the box scopes usually are. It will get you shooting and will be better than the open sights. But if this rifle shoots as well as the budget guns that I've shot recently, then I would probably get that changed fairly early in the proceedings. The Picatinny rail makes that a very simple task. There is another rail on the underside of the front, also to allow you to fit a bipod or the like. Anyway, back to that Toblerone front. For the benefit of our cousins across the pond, Toblerone is a triangular-shaped candy bar often found playing Jenga in airports around the world. It is an odd choice of a shape for a silencer or barrel end. It isn't removable, so you can't change this to add your personal favourite silencer, but it does do a pretty reasonable job of hushing this thing down to an acceptable level to keep the neighbours happy and keep the rabbits guessing as well. The barrel behind this is shrouded and very nicely finished off. Below this is the air cylinder, which is capable of pressuring up to 250 bar, which gives a claimed up to 300 shots in a fill. There is a proviso on the box that states dependent on compressor. And again, I have no idea what on earth they're getting at. If whatever you are using to fill your gun has 250 bar in it, then what has the compressor got to do with it? And if it's because you may not have a powerful enough compressor, what about a bottle or pump that isn't capable of that pressure? Anyway, I'm being picky around company claims again. I would have thought it would have been a better idea to have said caliber dependent, because you are likely to get fewer shots in a 177 caliber version than you would in the 22 or 25 caliber options. Back to the gun. The stock is plastic. Let's not go down the ballistic polymer route because you can see the mould lines in this rifle, but it feels slightly rubberized and is pretty darn good. I would even say it feels better than some £500 plus guns that I've used. So, no complaints here. They have moulded grip shapes into the front and the grip to stop it from sliding around in your hands. There is even a 6-point adjustable cheek rest built in, which feels more solid than some £1,500 plus guns that I've tested recently. The shaped rubberized butt pad isn't adjustable, but come on, what do you want for your 300 quid? The trigger is 2-stage and adjustable and pretty good, really. The action on this is a bolt action rather than a side lever, and the bolt has a peculiar bent shape to it. In action, it is short and defined and, dare I say, pretty smooth too. There is even a cocked indicator that reveals itself on the rear, which is a really great idea and a nice touch, so you can physically see it's live and even feel this in the dark if you were out pest controlling. Yeah, a really nice touch. The gauge on this is out front and is easy to read, and it's a large item that is colour coded to help the old dinosaurs read it. No comment. The magazine is a bit of a hybrid item and is a 12-round magazine in this 177 caliber. It is a lot like many other twist and drop types. But this one doesn't have a clear perspex front to it. Turn the front to reveal the inner housing, then rotate the inner section against the spring tension. Drop in your first pellet, it'll hold it in place, and then simply go around and drop the rest of them in. Close it up, you're ready to go. This is loaded in from the right hand side. Now it does have a lock open after last shot, which is a really nice feature, and I really like that on a rifle, rather than dry firing at a target when you think you've got a shot left. Filling the rifle is really very simple. Just rotate the dust cover on the front and insert the supplied filler probe. Then take it up to 250 bar max and you're away. Now let's get this out over the chronograph then, shall we, and see what it's kicking out. Well, using the 8.44 grain standard weights, it saw 760 feet per second, which is 10.83 foot-pounds or 14.68 joules. Time to drop some heavier 10.3 grains in to see what happens. With these on board, it produced 695 feet per second, which is 11.09 foot-pounds or 15.04 joules. Which is perhaps a little on the low side, but it was very consistent with a feet per second spread of around 6, which shows the regulator is definitely doing its job. I would prefer it to be a little higher, but this is probably the exception rather than the rule on these budget guns. Well, that said, let's see if it's consistent in the target work, shall we? I've decided to give this a fighting chance, and I've done away with the free scope that came with it, and I've decided to fit a Veyron simply because that's what I'd got lying around with the correct mounts on. So here we go, out at 40 metres. Remington T Rex. Raw. No. It is actually pretty darn good. So far, I've quite enjoyed it. It's a mishmash of stuff that I don't quite know where they've got all the logic and the ideas from. But adjustable butt, cheek riser on there, on the butt. It's a nice bolt. It's slightly bent. It's supposed to be that way. And at first, it looks a bit strange, but it's actually really nice to use. So, magazine's dead easy to load. It's one of those where you turn it all the way, drop it in, blah, 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 but I've probably already shown you that one, or I will later. Silencer on it. It's built onto it, and it's triangular. Why? I suppose the answer to that is, why not? Yeah, triangular. I have actually put, I can't remember what I said I was going to put on it, but what I've actually put on it, because it's the one that I actually found that had got Weaver Picatinny mounts already attached to it, is a Veyron, which has always been a favourite of mine anyway. And it is actually wound quite back. It's a 6-24, but I'm not using it at full 24 magnification. It suits it, it looks nice, even with its green flashes and bits all over everywhere. It's actually surprisingly comfortable to hold. It's not overly heavy. It's lovely balance to it, a really nice balance to it. It does come with open sights if you want to use them. I can't imagine why anybody would want to. You buy one of these things because you want them accurate, and accurate is what hopefully it's going to prove itself to be. Nice butt pad on it, rubberized, with a lip, so it fits quite nicely. The whole gun does actually feel really, really nice. So let's see if we can find any barn doors to hit, shall we? It's nice. You've even got an indicator on the back here to show you that it's cocked and it's live, which is really quite important. I think it's a nice little touch, and you can even feel that. So if you're shooting at night and thought, have I cocked this, have I not, so you don't want to double index it, double load it, you can actually feel it with your thumb that it's out and it's proud. So good idea. I like it. They do seem to come out with some nice ideas. Let's give this a go, shall we, and see what we can do. I'll take that one to start with. Ah! Buzz off. That's it, lock open after last shot. Another nice touch. Yeah, nice and easy. That's dead. Safety on. Let's go and have a look, shall we? I don't think anybody's going to get too upset about that. That's a pretty pleasing result. All more or less touching now. I've emptied a full magazine into it just so you get a feel for it. Obviously there's going to be my errors in there as well, but the size of your thumb covers it, your fingernail not far off. That is a really quite a tight little group. I don't think that's bad at all. It is a beautiful day. It's nice and calm. It's still. It just makes such a change to have one. And that makes this look a very, very capable gun. It's a nice gun to use, quite heavily stippled. It's comfortable, as I've said. That's a decent scope on it, which gives it a fighting chance rather than these freebies that they throw in. And it will get you going, the freebie will, but put a decent scope on it and then you're up for some pretty decent results. Yeah, I like it. I do. Well done, Remington. Back to the studio. Well, I think that speaks for itself, really. These are always fun to shoot and really very rewarding. As a lot of you know, I do enjoy shooting some of these budget guns. and this has been no exception. And at around £300 UK all in, this is really very good value. It's well thought out and built. It's got a silly name and a strange triangular barrel end, but I think it can be forgiven for that and simply used and enjoyed. Hopefully you've enjoyed this review. If you have, please give us the old thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Feel free to share and click the old alarm notification bell. There are loads of forums, etc. to join in with, and I would recommend the guys at Airgun Factory. There is the AAR on our website for all sorts of info and goodies. A big thank you to Vector for their help as always. The biggest thanks, however, goes out to you guys for watching and supporting what we're trying to achieve here on the channel. Please stay safe and shoot safe, and hopefully I'll see you all next week. I really like this one. Bye for now.